Okay, folks, some triangle proofs. Let's get right to it. First one is examples of proving triangle congruency, and then other proofs of triangles. So what we have to do first is which pair of triangles cannot be concluded to be congruent. Okay, so let's see what we got. The first one, we got three angles the same. The next one, we got three sides the same. And the next one, we got a side and then the included angle before the last side. And then we have two angles and the side in between them that are the same. And this is the only pattern that we're not allowed to use to conclude that we have congruent triangles. All that does is guarantee similarity. So it's A. All right, this one's going to take a little while. So this is a proof. So we got to prove that that PQ is perpendicular to RS. So we got to prove that this line and this line are perpendicular. Okay, so let's state our givens that we have first. We have angle PRQ is congruent to angle PSQ. Okay, that was a given. Then they also tell us that Q is the midpoint of RS, which tells me that RQ, whoops, not an angle, this is line, side, RQ is equal to QS, and that's because Q is the midpoint of RS. Okay. So we've got that much, and we should write on our diagram everything that we state so we keep track of it all. Now, if I see that these two angles are the same, that tells me that my whole big triangle PRS is what we call an isosceles triangle, two congruent angles. So we have isosceles. That's a tough one to spell. I don't know where isosceles, but I saw her. And that's because we have congruent, what we call base angles. Okay, so congruent base angles. Now, what else can we say? If that's isosceles, then that tells me that PR and PS have to be congruent because it's an isosceles triangle. So PR has to be the same as PS. Whoops, that's not a P. PS, and they're because P, what's our statement here, or justification? Because PRS is isosceles. Okay, we've got that. Now what else do we have? Well, sorry, we already know that those two are the same, don't we? Now look, we can show that these two triangles are congruent because they share this side in the middle. What we usually say for that is that PQ is actually equal to itself, which sounds silly, but it's a way for us to state that we know that we're going to get the same side on both triangles here. So we say that that's a common side. Okay, so since we have that common side, then now we know that we have three sides the same on both triangles. So we can say that PSQ as a triangle is going to be congruent to PRQ as a triangle. And that's because we have side, side, side. Okay, so our triangles are congruent. All right, so if triangles are congruent, their sides are congruent, and so are their angles. So now I'm going to say that this angle and this angle have to be the same. Okay, so I'm going to say that angle PQR has to be congruent to angle PQS. And that's because those are corresponding parts of congruent triangles. Okay, so we've got that. Now, I also want to say that PQR plus angle PQS has to equal 180 degrees. And that's because they have to be supplementary, because those two angles are across a straight line. Okay, we're getting there. So if they have to add up to 180 degrees, and they have to be equal to each other, then that means that they both have to be 90 degrees. That's the only way for that to happen. So angle PQR has to equal angle PQS, and they both have to be 90 degrees because they have a sum of 180 and they are equal. Okay? And if that's the case, then PQ is perpendicular to RS. And we're done. Okay. Good proof. All right, so that's about it. So remember all the same stuff that we said before. Throw it all together and you'll get your proofs. Good luck.